after my girlfriend agreed to my proposal. I worked from dawn to dusk, all for the sake of planning a perfect, fairy tale wedding to fulfill her princess dream. Yet in the middle of one night, I received a photo of my girlfriend and her senior pressed closely chest to chest, along with the caption, "She is mine." Reading that message shattered me. I broke down in tears, immediately pausing the passionate kiss I was sharing with the girl next to me. Unexpectedly, the girl looked annoyed, grabbed my phone, and sent a voice message. "He is mine, too." That night, my phone ended up with hundreds of missed calls. Chapter 1. Early in the morning, my alarm rang. I groaned and rolled over to turn it off. But my hand landed on a woman instead. She had a slim waist and long legs, and felt great to the touch. I couldn't help touching her a few more times. She teased coyly, "Don't just touch me, big bro." Speaking softly, she wrapped her legs around me. I smiled and said, "Cut it out, Willow. I have to go to work soon." In that instant, she froze, and a cold voice rang in my ears. She said, "Aren't you going to see who I really am?" I was baffled, but when I got a clear look at her, I nearly fell out of bed from shock. She wasn't Willow, she was Willow's student, Anna. "Heh," she scoffed, got up from the bed, and the mattress rose back to normal. She had a habit of calling me big bro for the thrill of it. Now she said, "Big brother George, you really are such a jerk, sleeping with me but not even remembering my name." With that, she headed to the bathroom. I took a while to process everything before remembering she was the stand-in bride I had paid for the day before. Yes, I got married yesterday, but the bride, Willow, had vanished. I saw Willow again on the trending news. The headline read, "A devoted man attempts suicide for love, moves girlfriend's heart, girlfriend arrives in a wedding dress to marry him." This was the same Willow who had once, right in front of me, cursed her senior countless times for being crazy. Now, there she was in the trending news, kissing him so passionately that their saliva nearly connected. Meanwhile, I was sitting alone in the wedding hall, receiving everyone's pity. Willow's parents asked, "Should we call off the wedding?" My parents countered, "Then what about our son?" The MC reminded us, "If you cancel, our company policy states there's no refund." Willow's parents said, "Feelings can't be forced." I sat there, listening to them argue intensely, but stayed silent. Why did I have to be the one left hanging? So, on the spur of the moment, I grabbed a waitress from the restaurant across the street to play the temporary bride. That person ended up being Willow's student, Anna. I'd seen Anna once before. Through Willow, she and a few other girls had been cleaning the teacher's office. Blushing, they pushed each other toward me, nudging elbows, tugging sleeves, until one girl finally stepped forward and asked, "Senior, are you single? Our class beauty has had her eyes on you for a while and wants your WeChat." Following her gaze, I saw Anna in the corner wiping a window. She had a long, slender figure and skin as fair as jade, yet she exuded a frosty, distant air. Noticing my stare, she suddenly turned, her fox-like eyes meeting mine. Feeling awkward, I told them I was their teacher's boyfriend. Anna withdrew her gaze, turned to the main troublemaker, and scolded, "Aren't you all being a bit annoying?" Her classmates teased, "Anna, you've turned down so many admirers, what kind of person do you actually want to date?" She answered coolly, "I'm not dating." That aloofness made them all step back. She then handed me a cup of tea and obediently said, "Please have some tea, sir." That was the only time we met, and I assumed she wouldn't even remember me. Willow and I had been in a long-distance relationship for 3 years. I'd only visited her once, and she never mentioned me in her WeChat moments. Recalling all this, I couldn't help feeling a sharp pang of bitterness in my heart. Chapter 2. Anna finally emerged from the bathroom over 10 minutes later and returned to the bed, leaning against the headboard in a daze. I spoke up, "You can actually go home if you want. There's no need to force yourself." After yesterday's impulsive decision, I still hadn't figured out what to do next. She frowned slightly. "Big bro, what do you mean?" Lowering my head, I explained, "I admit I was acting on impulse yesterday. If you have a better option, we can pretend none of this ever happened. I've already transferred the money to your account." Yesterday, I was absolutely furious. Seeing her working in the restaurant across the street, I went straight over and gave her 10,000 yuan to marry me. She must have really needed the money, because she couldn't resist that sum. Anna gave a faint smile and looked up at me. "Does the wedding banquet provide free food?" I answered, "Yes," and that was all it took for me to lure her away. After the wedding ceremony, we got dragged off to drink. Both of us ended up plastered, and we slept until now. Technically, we never registered our marriage at City Hall, and she was basically just a paid stand-in bride. With the show over, we should go our separate ways. She spoke playfully, "A night with me costs 10,000, big bro is really generous." Then she lowered her head to check her phone and fell silent. Just then, someone started pounding on the door from outside, shouting, "Open up, I know you're in there. Open the door." My scalp tingled. It was my girlfriend, Also Anna's teacher, Willow, who'd been missing for a whole day. Feeling a headache coming on, I said. It's my girlfriend. Could you maybe put some clothes on first? Anna replied. Your girlfriend's back. Where do you plan to hide me, big bro? Chapter 3. Her face was practically screaming with joy. I said. There's no need to hide. Just stay here and keep quiet, she replied. So now this really feels like cheating. Rolling her eyes, she continued scrolling through her phone, ignoring me. My heart skipped a beat, but I didn't have time to worry about her feelings. I rushed to open the door. The sound of a boiling kettle echoed outside. If I didn't open the door soon, the neighbors would probably file a noise complaint. A muffled voice whimpered. George, I'm sorry, I'm back. Willow was still wearing yesterday's wedding dress. The flowers in her hands had wilted beyond recognition. I smiled calmly and said, one during the day, one at night, covering both sides without missing a beat. You really are a genius. She wiped her tears and said, I can explain what happened yesterday. Oh, really? I was suddenly curious to see how she was going to twist the truth. I asked, let me guess, you're going to say you spent the whole night with him, but nothing happened. As long as there were no explicit photos, she would keep denying everything. I first heard about her senior, Makoto. In the 3rd year of my long-distance relationship with Willow, she called me to complain about him, saying that he was disgustingly sleazy and constantly harassed the women in the lab. She said, he's so full of himself, has no respect for women at all, always cracking dirty jokes in public, sending cringy pickup lines to girls. When called out, he just laughs it off and fake apologizes, only to do it again next time. I've never seen anyone so shameless, but no one could do anything about him because his father was the dean. Willow despised him. Yet, despite how much she supposedly hated him, she gradually started talking about him more and more. She would say, he grew up spoiled. One time, we complained about our long commutes, and he seriously asked why we didn't just buy a place near the school. Can you believe how dumb that is? Who would ever want to marry someone like that? That's when I realized, during the few monthly calls we had, she was always talking about him. I got annoyed and lost my patience. I snapped at her. Well, why don't you just marry him, then? That was our first fight. Later, I realized I had been too harsh, so I made up for it by sending her gifts for every occasion. 2 weeks later, at her graduation ceremony, I went all out. I coordinated with both our parents to propose to her in advance. Right in the middle of the ceremony, she covered her mouth in shock, staggered back a step, and tears welled up in her eyes. When she reached out, trembling, to take the ring, I felt like the happiest man alive. But in less than 3 months, I became the biggest joke in the world. Willow said, George, yesterday's situation was out of my control. I had no choice but to run away from the wedding. No matter what, Makoto is still my senior. I couldn't just stand by and let him die. As she spoke, she threw herself into my arms, hugging me tightly. 3 years together, you still don't understand my heart. You're the only one I love. At that moment, she snuggled against my chest like she always did, making me almost believe that her betrayal was just a bad dream. But then I saw the hickey on her neck. My stomach churned violently. I shoved her away and said, sorry, but you're too late. You even missed the wedding banquet my wife and I already celebrated. She stared at me in confusion. George, what are you talking about? Just then, a voice called out from inside the room. Honey, where's my dress? Anna's voice rang out from the bedroom. The air turned deathly still. Willow's voice trembled as she asked, who's in there? Chapter 4, I replied. A stray cat. I said it without a change in expression. Then, I added, you should leave. I don't want to see you. With that, I shut the door in her face. As soon as I turned around, I saw Anna leaning against the bedroom doorframe, staring at me intently. Feeling a little guilty, I walked toward her. She suddenly made a soft sound. Meow. A chill ran down my spine. She tilted her head and asked, what's wrong, big brother? Are you getting back together with her? I answered, no, but this is between me and her. Anna was Willow's student. Now that I had sobered up, guilt crept in. I didn't want to drag her into this mess any further. She fixed her gaze on me and said, but you've already dirted me, big brother. Aren't you going to take responsibility? I was speechless. How had I dirted her? I had come home last night and collapsed straight into bed. Nothing had happened. At most, we might have kissed, probably. I hesitated before asking, where? She didn't answer, just kept staring at me. That's when I noticed a short skirt lying in the bathroom, one that wasn't mine. She blushed and muttered, I didn't bring a change of clothes. Now I understood. Feeling a little embarrassed, I said, I'll go buy one for you. She looked at me and asked, will you really buy it? Big brother, have you bought clothes for anyone else before? My heart skipped a beat. I quickly answered, no. Her expression softened slightly, and she said, then I want a longer one, white. After everything was settled, I drove her to work. I dropped her off at the staff dormitory where she lived. Honestly, the place was simple, too simple. I was shocked, but at least her bunk was clean and neatly arranged. She invited me to sit on the edge of her bed. A few female co-workers gathered around, curious about our situation. One of them nudged Anna and whispered teasingly, "Damn, Anna, you really hit the jackpot." Huh. Anna waved them off. "Even if I did, it's not for you to take a bite of. Get back to work." Only then did the others scatter. As I was leaving, I couldn't help but ask, "Why don't you live at the school? The dorms there were much better than this place." She looked at me and asked, "Big brother, do you dislike that I live here?" I replied, "No," worried she'd overthink it. I dropped the subject. She walked me all the way to the parking lot and stood beside the car, staring at me without saying a word. I asked, "What's wrong?" She answered, "After today, are you going to abandon me, brother?" Chapter 5. That was a real question. I started thinking about how to handle this situation. I tried to reason with her from every angle, explaining that she and I weren't really compatible and that we should just forget about what happened yesterday. I said, "You're still young. There must be plenty of guys in college who like you. You have so many choices. What happened yesterday was my fault. If you ever need help in the future, I'll do whatever I can." I was hinting that the only way I could really help her was with money, and she did need it. She just sat there quietly, listening, not saying a word. I asked, "Do you understand?" I felt a little unsure. She lowered her head, smiled softly, and stayed silent. When she looked up again, her eyes were slightly red. With a pitiful expression, she said, "But at the wedding yesterday, brother kissed me. Then at night, you pulled me into your room and put your hands all over me. My innocence is gone. Who else would want me now?" I was speechless. A sweet, innocent college girl, on the verge of tears, demanding that I take responsibility. Who could possibly withstand that? I sighed and replied, "Then, don't worry. Before you find a boyfriend, I'll definitely take responsibility for you." I made the promise with as much conviction as I could muster. She frowned slightly and asked, "How will brother take responsibility? Are you going to give yourself to me?" I almost choked on my own breath, clenching my teeth. I said, "Fine." Only then did she finally calm down. I thought I had successfully defused the situation until I started the car, and she suddenly stepped in front of it again. She crossed her arms and said, "Brother, you say you're my boyfriend, but you didn't even ask for my phone number. Were you planning to run away?" I froze. I said, "What's your number?" She took my phone, dialed her own number, and then saved my contact on her phone with the name, "Dear Husband." I wanted to correct it, but I was afraid that if I did, she'd make an even bigger scene. So, I stayed quiet. Then, as if she had just remembered something, she added, "If you need anything, call me." "I don't like texting," I replied. "Oh, okay." What she didn't know was that I wasn't a fan of calling or texting anyone in the first place. A few days passed. Suddenly, I received a message from Anna. A single question mark. Just that, one question mark. I had no idea what it meant. Was this the generational gap between me and modern college girls? I messaged back, "Are you off work?" She replied, 3 days and not a single message. Dear sure knows how to play hard to get. I asked, "What's wrong?" She replied, "Nothing. I'm just not worthy anymore, I guess." I was speechless. Hadn't she been the one who told me not to text? The conversation ended there. She didn't reply again. Chapter 6. A few days later, I went to Willow's University. After finishing her master's degree, she had stayed on as a counselor. I placed a bank card on the table and got straight to the point. "I'm planning to sell the marital home. Your family contributed $100,000 for renovations. Here's the money." She stared at me for a long time before finally speaking. "George, is this really necessary?" I replied, "Absolutely." She frowned. "I told you. What happened that day was just a misunderstanding. Why do you have to keep throwing harsh words at me?" I sighed. "Willow, I'm not saying this out of spite." She scoffed. "If you're not being petty, then why sell the house? That was our wedding home. How could you even think of selling it?" After a moment, she added, "George, I admit I was wrong about my senior, but it was a matter of life and death. I couldn't just stand by and watch him die." I chuckled. "So saving a life required that level of intimacy." Her cheeks flushed, and she stammered, "I was just trying to calm him down." "What a brilliant excuse," I replied. "That's funny. I'm selling the house to calm my wife down." She snapped, "What wife?" Just then, the door swung open, and a cheerful female voice rang out, "Professor Liu, you wanted to see me." At the sound of that voice, my head jerked up. "Anna, speak of the devil." My palms started sweating. Willow turned toward her, her tone filled with disapproval. "Dorm inspections are on Saturdays. You weren't there. Where were you?" Anna paused for a moment when she saw me. Then, as Willow continued questioning her, Anna's gaze shifted to me. A playful smirk tugged at her lips as she replied sweetly, "I was with my dear brother." Willow frowned. "Your brother is here?" Anna looked straight at me and blinked. "I meant my lover brother." I nearly dropped my teacup. Willow looked utterly stunned. I don't mind students dating, but girls should have some self-respect. Your overnight absences are getting too frequent. Anna glanced at the attendance record in Willow's hands and said casually, Professor Liu, going out a lot just means my dear loves me. Maybe you're just too old to understand that. Besides, self-respect isn't about how often someone goes out, it's about how many different people they go out with. Willow's face darkened instantly. She bit her lip. Anna, watch your tone. Just because you won a national scholarship doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. If it were someone else, you think I wouldn't care? Only I knew the real reason Anna wasn't staying in the dorms. She worked as a waitress at a restaurant. Probably out of pride. She never explained herself to Willow and got caught every time. Anna sighed. Professor Liu, class is about to start. It's the dean's class, he said. If I miss it again, I'll fail. Willow sputtered. You, just go to class first. I'll deal with you later. Anna, however, stood there looking at me, clearly unhappy. Her emotions were obvious. She was pissed. What are you waiting for? Willow urged. Anna lingered for a few more seconds, then finally huffed and walked out. The moment the door closed behind her, my phone buzzed with a new message. Brother, you're such a scumbag. My heart skipped a beat. Chapter 7. For a moment, I forgot why I even came here in the first place. I asked, has your student applied for financial aid? Willow looked puzzled. Why would she apply for that? That answer only made me feel worse for Anna. She was struggling so much, yet instead of taking aid, she chose to work at a restaurant to support herself. A girl like that, how bad could she possibly be? Willow looked at me suspiciously. You know her? I didn't answer. Not only did I know her, I had slept with her. Instead, I changed the subject. Think about the house situation. Give me an answer in 3 days. If you think 100,000 isn't enough, we can let a judge decide. With that, I turned and walked away. Just as I rounded a corner, someone grabbed my sleeve. Brother, I turned, surprised. Didn't you say you had class? Why aren't you there? Anna gazed up at me. And what about you? You don't text me. Don't talk to me, too busy flirting with other women. I frowned. What nonsense are you talking about? She scoffed. Sure, it's all nonsense, but my eyes aren't blind. You know. Her eyes were red again. I had planned to argue with her, but seeing her like this, I sighed in defeat. I said, now you understand why we don't fit, right? You're my ex-girlfriend's student. You're so young. You could practically call me dad. Get it? I thought she would get mad, accuse me of using her, or blame me for making things awkward between her and her professor. Instead, she simply asked, so what? So what? So you could fail your classes and not graduate. That's what. She let out a soft chuckle, stepped closer, and whispered in a sultry voice. Or is it that brother actually enjoys it when I call you daddy while we kiss? I don't mind. I was speechless. Anna, you. I started, then let out a long sigh. I bought an apartment before our wedding home. She paid for the renovations. I came today to settle that with her. I had no idea why I was even explaining myself. She turned her face away, not letting me see her reddened eyes. Her voice trembled slightly as she said, then why not just keep it that way? You two can stay tangled up forever. I was at a loss for words. This girl had a sharp tongue. I sighed. This is an adult matter. Stay out of it and go to class. She huffed. I don't want to go. I asked, isn't it your dean's class? You really dare to skip? She ignored me. I kept trying to reason with her. You should go. Failing this class will mess up your future. She shot me a look and said, did I ever say whose class it was? How can you be this clueless, brother? Wait, so she had been lying to Willow. She followed me all the way to my car but still refused to leave. So I asked, do you have class tomorrow? She furrowed her brows and muttered unhappily, no, but I have to work at the restaurant. I let out a breath. I'll contact you later then. She rolled her eyes. You really are a scumbag. I drove away. A moment later, my phone buzzed with a new message. I'm free tomorrow night, I replied. Oh, okay. Chapter 8. The next day, I had to leave for a business trip, 2 weeks away. I called Anna and texted her to explain. She was cold. She replied, I'm fine at school. Missing a meal won't kill me. Not like anyone cares anyway. That bad. Was she really so broke she couldn't even afford food? I asked, where do you want to go? I'll take you out. Or is there something you want to eat? She replied, I want to go to the sky, build castles in the air. I was speechless. Clearly, her mood was serious. I had no way of arguing with someone like her. In the end, I asked my best friend, David, to send her some snacks at school. I was genuinely worried she might starve. David laughed. Are you sponsoring a college girl now? Nice one. George, I replied. It's not like that. She's just a kid. She has it rough. He chuckled. Right. She's pitiful because she has no food now. Soon, she'll be pitiful because she has no one to cuddle at night. That's where brother comes in. Huh. I shot back. Cut it out. She's going to find a boyfriend eventually. David snorted. Yeah, sure. I delivered the stuff, And guess what? She didn't even bother looking at me. Said she'd only take it if it was from you. That girl looks like a fox, watch out, or you'll fall right into her trap. I replied, I won't. At least, I shouldn't. When I got back from my trip, the first thing I did was move. I found a place closer to my office and settled in. Then, I received a text from an unexpected number. Makoto, Willow's senior. He wanted to talk. He set the meeting at the university. Since I was planning to pick Anna up for dinner anyway, I drove over. When I arrived, he greeted me with a face full of fake remorse. I'm really sorry. This whole thing is actually my fault. I'm an emotional person. When I fall for someone, I go to extremes. Please, don't blame Willow. He paused, then hesitated before saying, but, there's something I'm not sure if I should say. If I do, promise you won't take it the wrong way. I replied flatly, then don't say it. But he kept going. I just want you to know, Willow is a great girl. She deserves to be with someone better suited for her. You can't give her the happiness she really wants. I cut him off. Are you insane? He smirked. What do you mean? He wasn't even trying to act anymore. I said, nothing. I'm married. And my wife isn't Willow. You want my leftovers? Fine. Consider her a gift. I smirked and grabbed my coat to leave. I was furious, but I refused to show it. Then, just as I turned, he yelled, George, who do you think you are? What can you even give Willow? Can you get her a job at this university? She and I belong together. I froze. So that's why Willow had suddenly been given a position at the school. Makoto's father, the dean, had handed it to her. Makoto grinned, seeing my expression. Do you know why she agreed to marry you? Because I slept with her first. She was scared. Something inside me snapped. I remembered her at the graduation ceremony, trembling as she took my ring, tears streaming down her face. I had been so happy then. Now, I just felt sick. She really was a damn good actress. So that was it. She was afraid she'd get pregnant and needed someone to take responsibility. I turned and punched him square in the face. This punch is what you owe me. Makoto, of course, wasn't the type to take a hit quietly. He lunged at me, and we grappled. I landed another blow. And this punch is what Willow owes me. Since you love her so much, you can pay off her debts too. No problem. Right. He stumbled, lost his footing, and fell to the ground, shouting for help. I didn't even bother looking at him. I turned and walked away. As I stepped out of the lecture hall, I leaned against the wall, shaking with rage. Then I saw her, Anna. She had been standing at the doorway. Had she seen everything? For some reason, I didn't want her to know about my messed up past. She said softly, brother, your hair is a mess. Her eyes darkened. I forced a smile. It's fine. Come on, let's get some food. She nodded. Okay, but wait for me in the car first. I asked, where are you going? She smiled sweetly. Obviously, to change into something more suitable for our date. Then, she turned and walked, not toward the dorms, but back toward the lecture hall. I sat in the car for a while, feeling uneasy. Then I heard someone outside say, something's happening in the lecture hall. Chapter 9. Someone said, a lot of people went over. Even the professors are there. A sudden sense of unease gripped me. Just as I was about to rush over, Anna came back. Her eyes were wet with tears. Her cheeks flushed. I stepped forward, alarmed. What happened? She lowered her gaze. I got into an argument with someone. When he couldn't win, he hit me. I immediately suspected she had gone to confront Makoto over what happened, and that bastard actually hit her. My jaw clenched. Who hit you? She tilted her head slightly. Why? Will brother go and get revenge for me? I didn't hesitate. Of course, and I'll report him to the dean. She blinked innocently and said, well, it was the dean who hit me. I was completely baffled, speechless, with my head full of question marks, utterly clueless. I stared at her in disbelief. The dean? Why would he just hit someone? She shrugged. He's an old man with a bad temper. He hits people all the time. She sighed. Not like this is the first time. I gritted my teeth. I'm going to talk to him. She quickly stopped me. Don't. I frowned. Why not? Are you afraid of him? He's the dean. But that doesn't give him the right to hit students. She shook her head. I'm not afraid, brother. But how long has it been since we saw each other? Why waste our time on someone who doesn't matter? An excuse. She was definitely afraid that making a scene would make it harder for her to graduate. I looked at her seriously. Anna, tell me the truth. Do people bully you a lot? Do you get hit often? I found myself feeling genuinely sorry for her. She got mistreated at the restaurant, bullied at school. Now she had even pissed off the dean. How was she supposed to survive? She looked at me and asked softly, brother, are you feeling sorry for me? I nodded. Yeah. I hesitated before asking, do your roommates bully you too? Is that why you don't like living in the dorms? I thought about it for a few seconds, then met her eyes. If you have nowhere to go, do you want to stay with me? She hesitated, then mumbled, no. But the next second, she changed her answer. Actually, yeah, my roommates are pretty mean. Her eyes turned red again. She looked even more pitiful, thinking about how she was always being mistreated and how bad the restaurant conditions were. I made a decision. Then stay with me. I have 2 rooms. It's a bit far from your school, but you can take the subway. She suddenly leaned in closer. Her voice soft. Brother is so good to me. What if I start liking you? I pretended not to hear, but my heart skipped a beat. Later, I drove her to the pharmacy to buy medicine, helped her pack her things, and brought her to my new apartment. That night, I cooked dinner. I asked her after every dish if she liked it. She nodded each time, saying everything was delicious. Seeing her eat like someone who had never had a proper meal made me feel even more protective of her. After dinner, she took a shower and walked into my room, holding her medicine. Helped me apply it. She obediently sat on my bed while I stood beside her, carefully applying ointment to her bruised face. She let out a soft whimper. I paused. Did I hurt you? She pouted. A little. I softened my touch. I'll be more gentle, she murmured. No need. I like it when brother does it like this. What was that supposed to mean? Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Brother, can you kiss me? It really hurts. I was speechless. She continued. Didn't you say you were my boyfriend? Shouldn't a boyfriend at least do this much? Or were you just lying? You don't even text me, barely acknowledge me. Are you just playing with me? I wasn't a liar. I had just assumed that, given how beautiful she was, she would find a boyfriend in a few days, and this whole thing would have nothing to do with me anymore. But half a month had passed, and she was still single. Who could have predicted that? I said. Later. She huffed. No, now. I had no choice. I leaned in, and she wrapped her arms around my neck as we kissed. Within minutes, she had me completely mesmerized. I whispered, Anna, I don't want to crush you. She whispered back, but I like it when brother holds me like this. Her eyes were glistening with desire as she kissed me again. I missed you, brother. Just as things started getting heated, she bit me lightly. Stop teasing me, brother. It's driving me crazy. I lost myself amid the repeated calls of brother. Then, just as flash floods and tsunamis were on the verge of erupting, my phone abruptly rang. My phone rang. The first ring, she clung to my arm, trying to keep me from answering. The second ring, I gently pushed her away and picked up my phone. She pouted, clearly unhappy, but stayed quiet as I checked the message. It was from Willow. Did you hit Makoto? Attached was a screenshot of her conversation with him. Makoto, Shimmy, I wanted to talk to your boyfriend today to explain everything, but he didn't listen and just started hitting me. I was completely stunned. Do you think I messed up again? I don't mind him hitting me, but I feel awful that this caused so much misunderstanding between us. I really blame myself. Willow replied. George was really out of line. I had never found a text message so disgusting before. I didn't even bother replying. Anna smirked. Brother, shall we continue? I hesitated. It's getting late. Maybe we should get some sleep. Honestly, I had lost the mood. Anna's expression darkened instantly. So brother got what he wanted and doesn't care about me now. I was speechless. Then another message from Willow popped up. This time, it was a photo of her and Makoto, bodies pressed together. The caption read, She's mine. The explicit nature of the image made my stomach turn. I tossed my phone away in disgust. Clearly, Makoto had sent it using Willow's phone. Anna picked up my phone, smirking as she recorded a voice message. She purred. He's mine too. Then, she shut off my phone entirely, leaned in, and whispered, Brother, she's already ruined. But me, I'm still pure. Chapter 10. Anna. I tried to calm her down. Some things, once done, could never be undone. I was much older than her. She was still a college student. No matter how I looked at it, we were. But she looked up at me and asked, Doesn't brother want to win? I asked, Win what? She said, Sleeping with her student, that alone will be enough to make her miserable for at least half a year. I sighed. I'm not that petty. I don't want to use you. Pulling her into this had been an impulsive mistake, but she just said softly, I don't mind being used by brother. She leaned in, whispering, I'm willing. Maybe I had been too enraged by Willow, or maybe Anna was just too dangerously tempting. That night, I completely lost control. The next morning, I woke up and saw the girl sleeping quietly beside me. It felt like a dream. The moment I moved, she stirred awake. She looked at me and whispered, Brother. Hearing that sent a shiver down my spine. Last night, this same girl had clung to me, calling me brother over and over, making me discover that. It made me realize that even when you squeeze the toothpaste, there's still some left. I shook away those shameless thoughts and asked, I'll make breakfast. What do you want to eat? She opened her eyes, smiled at me, and said, What I really want, you won't let me eat. So whatever is fine. I was speechless. During breakfast, I asked, Does it taste good? She grinned. Anything brother makes is delicious. She said it so naturally, her eyes sparkling, that I felt strangely embarrassed. I grabbed my phone to distract myself, only to see that I had hundreds of missed calls, all from Willow. As soon as my phone connected to the network, another call came in. I blocked her. Anna watched the whole thing, sipping her soy milk like she was watching a soap opera. Then, her phone rang. It was Willow. I tensed, but Anna remained completely calm as she answered and put it on speaker. Willow's voice came through. Where are you? You didn't come back to the dorms again. Anna replied casually. I'm out. Willow asked. With who? Anna replied. My boyfriend. My entire body went rigid. Willow pressed. Which boyfriend? Anna chuckled. Definitely not my professor's boyfriend. I don't like guys like Makoto. There was a brief pause. Then Willow said, all right, I just wanted to check if you're safe. See? Anna's ability to talk her way out of things was so strong. Even Willow couldn't argue with her. But the entire time, I had been so nervous I nearly stopped breathing. After the call ended, Anna turned to me. What's on brother's mind? I scratched my head. Nothing. Just thinking about sending you back to school after breakfast. She snorted. Oh, so you just want to send me away and pretend last night never happened. I was speechless. Chapter 11. Somehow, Anna and I ended up officially dating. Despite her packed schedule, classes during the day, working at the restaurant in the evening, she was still incredibly clingy. A 20-year-old girl in love would get upset for the most random reasons. We usually slept in the same room, but after weeks of her draining my energy every night, I couldn't take it anymore. I told her I'd be sleeping in the study for a few days to recharge. She said sweetly, sure, take your time, whether it's today or tomorrow. I'll be waiting for brother. But of course, she didn't really mean it. Every word was laced with complaints. To make it up to her, I agreed to watch her volleyball game on Wednesday. Sitting in the stands, I watched her on the court, radiant, full of energy. After a powerful spike, the whole crowd erupted in cheers. Even my chest felt warm with pride. She was truly something else. Between working at the restaurant, spending nights at my place, keeping up with her studies, and excelling at sports, where did she even find the energy? At halftime, she ran over to me, grinning. She tilted her head playfully, wondering how I do it. Don't worry, both my main body and a clone belong to brother. I had no words. Before I could respond, a water bottle suddenly flew over and hit her behind the knee. She staggered, nearly falling. Instinctively, I caught her by the wrist and wrapped an arm around her waist to steady her. Then, a group of girls walked over, sneering. One of them picked up the water bottle and said, oops, did I hit you? She glanced at me before adding, Anna, your dad came to watch you play. That's so sweet. You two are so close, hugging and everything. I froze. The girl's words sounded apologetic, but the tone was pure provocation. She was the same player who had been competing the hardest against Anna just moments ago. I looked down at Anna. Her face was dark. The girl continued, or, is he your sugar daddy? Her friends burst into laughter. I warned, watch your mouth. Or, before I could finish, Anna suddenly stepped aside. She took a few steps forward and asked, who are you calling my sugar daddy? The girl smirked. Well, whoever's old enough to be. She didn't get to finish. Anna lunged. She tackled the girl to the ground. Screams erupted. You psycho. You finally dropped the act. Huh? The girl shrieked. Anna, did you forget how you ended up in there? People like you should be locked in a mental hospital forever. The crowd hadn't even processed what was happening when Anna's palm cracked against the girl's face. She didn't stop. She clawed, slapped, scratched. Every hit was harder than the last. I snapped out of my shock and rushed over, pulling Anna off the girl and holding her tight. Enough, I said. Her eyes were red, her body trembling as she struggled against me. Let me go. Let me go. She screamed. I tightened my grip. No. The moment people heard the words mental hospital, they all hesitated, taking a step back. She kept thrashing in my arms, screaming. I said, let Gio. I'm going to kill that bitch. For a second, even I was startled. But then, I held her even tighter and gently pressed a kiss to her forehead. I murmured, it's okay. I'm here. Calm down. I kept holding her, rubbing soothing circles on her back. Meanwhile, the girl on the ground was finally dragged away. Her face was covered in scratches, her skin streaked with blood. An hour later, I was sitting with Anna in the police station, waiting to give our statements. The girl had been taken to the hospital, and she refused to settle. Chapter 12. Throughout the entire process, Anna didn't say a word. She sat there, shoulders slumped, as if she had completely given up. I wrapped an arm around her as we watched the security footage with the police. It turned out that the conflict had started earlier, back in the locker room. On the screen, Anna was standing there when the girl walked up and shoved her. Anna ignored it. So the girl got bolder. She grabbed Anna by the hair and then, shockingly, slapped her across the face with a used sanitary pad. The girl sneered, acting like a good student now. Let's see how long you can keep up the act. The police ruled that the girl had provoked the incident first. Anna had endured it all. She let them push her, insult her, humiliate her. But the moment they mocked our relationship, she finally lost control. I fell into deep thought. At the police station, I finally learned the truth. Anna had undergone long-term psychological treatment. She had even been institutionalized. At the age of 12, She had stabbed a 40-year-old man, because that man had insulted her mother. At the time, cases of self-defense were rarely recognized, but the authorities determined that Anna had severe mental health issues. So instead of prison, she was sent to a psychiatric hospital for a year. And the girl she had fought today, she was the daughter of the man Anna had stabbed. During her time in the hospital, Anna's mother was in a fatal car accident. She never got to say goodbye. When Anna was finally released, she had completely changed. She shut herself off. She let people bully her. She never fought back. She said, "Mom told me she wanted me to live a normal life. She said that if I acted out again, she would never speak to me again. So I thought, if I was obedient, if I was good, maybe she would come back. But she never got to see me get better." Her mother was gone, and she had been left all alone. She spoke about these painful memories in such a light, casual tone, but my heart felt unbearably heavy. I had no idea how to comfort this girl. She turned to me and asked, "Brother, do you think I'm a freak too? Are you scared of me?" I met her gaze and said firmly, "No, you are not a freak. If your mom were still here, she would feel the same way I do. She would think you are an amazing person. You stood up for her. You were brave, but..." I hesitated, choosing my words carefully. "Your reaction was a little extreme. You do need help, Anna. You need to see a therapist." She stared at me. "Will you leave me?" I answered immediately. "No." She asked again, her voice trembling. "Never." I tightened my grip around her shoulders. "Never." She held my gaze for a few seconds, then turned away. I saw tears slip down her face. I pulled her into my arms. I said softly, "No matter what happens, I'll stand by you. You don't have to be afraid anymore. I won't let anyone hurt you. Let's go to therapy together. We'll take it one step at a time." She choked on a sob and whispered, "Okay." I ran my hand through her hair, gently comforting her. Slowly, her emotions calmed. Chapter 13. After that incident, we officially started dating as boyfriend and girlfriend. She said she wanted to get a job after graduation. I asked, "Your grades are so good. You could easily continue on to graduate school without taking the exams. Why not go for it?" She pouted and said, "I'm not on the list for recommendation." I was speechless. "You're top of your class, and they didn't include you." She replied, "They really didn't. And besides, it's not for me." Hearing that, I didn't worry too much. A girl as hardworking as she is won't do poorly once she starts working. It doesn't matter that her family conditions aren't great. As long as she stays focused and determined, things will get better little by little. Having a girlfriend, having someone I wanted to protect, made me suddenly wake up and push myself. I worked even harder. My boss must have noticed my drive, so he assigned me a ton of business trips. This time, I was sent away for a whole month. Anna's patience was visibly wearing thin. She relied on me too much. If I was slow to pick up her calls, she'd get angry. If I forgot to reply to a message, she could brood about it, go emo, for an entire night. Finally, the return date rolled around. That Saturday, on my way home, she specifically told me she was waiting at my place. But then I got a last-minute notice that I had to attend a celebration banquet for a joint project between my company and Willow's school. They'd been collaborating on this project for a while, but I'd never mentioned it to Anna because anything related to Willow upsets her. But this kind of thing is out of my hands. I'm just an employee with no power to argue. So I said, "I might be back later. Maybe don't wait for me." She asked, "How late?" I answered, "Maybe 9. She pressed, "Are you sure you can be back by 9? I replied, "It could be 10. She pouted angrily. "How could you do this? Brother, we're dating. Yet for a whole month you're out of sight. No calls, no texts, practically torturing me till I'm barely alive. Then you give me a little sweetness, and it repeats over and over. I'm really upset. I even want a basement where I can lock you up." I was at a loss. "Anna, can you please behave?" She retorted. "You want me to behave? Am I just a pet you keep, brother?" Then she started sulking again. "At least you can sleep holding a pet. I don't get to see you, can't have you, can't even sleep next to you. I'm worse off than a pet." The little one was mad again. That's when I realized I really didn't understand how to be in a relationship. When I dated Willow before, we could go for a month without a single phone call. David used to joke that I was basically dating emptiness. But that's how long-distance relationships can be. There are topics to talk about at first, but they gradually disappear, and you don't know what to say. Now I also realize that, just like how some girls claim they're slow to warm up, they may only be that way specifically toward you. If she has nothing to talk about with me, it might just mean she's got no interest in talking to me. No matter how strong the feelings, distance kills many relationships in the end. I hung up, ignoring Anna's mood, because I was called away to pour drinks and make toasts. I was seated next to Makoto, with Willow, the school principal, and our company's board chairman at the same table. Normally, I wouldn't be qualified to sit with them, but I soon found out why they put me there. Makoto said, "George, I heard you were also part of this project. We've known each other for a while, so I asked my dad to invite you so we could catch up. You don't mind, do you? I had no idea what his motive was, probably to show off in front of me and maybe embarrass me, but with so many big shots around, I didn't dare lose my temper. This was also my first time seeing our board chairman, an older man with white hair. There was an empty seat next to him, as if waiting for someone. Through it all, I was busy bowing and being polite, and nobody paid much attention to me. Then the chairman picked up a phone call, glanced at me casually afterward, and said in exasperation, "Brother, what brother? I'm in the middle of business, and all you do is go on about brother. Brother, come see for yourself." He hung up angrily, and the whole table fell into an awkward silence. With a sigh, he said, "My granddaughter, she's gone crazy in love. The relationship's driven her mad, and now she's begging me to let her leave." Someone joked, "Well, you know how young people in love are these days. All of us here are old now." I stayed busy the entire time, pouring tea and drinks, Makoto's arrangement. I finally sat down for a short break, and I suddenly caught a familiar scent. Turning around, I saw Anna. My heart nearly jumped out of my chest. This was my workplace function. "Please don't cause trouble." Anna glared at Makoto and said, "Move. I'm sitting here." Unbelievably rude. Everyone at the table was staring at her. Principal Ito frowned and said, "No manners at all. Can't you at least call him brother?" "Brother." I was stunned. Makoto forced a smile, stood up, and gave his seat to Anna. "Dad, she's always been like this since she was little. I'll just let her have my seat." Anna gave a cold snort and sat right down. Anna is the principal's daughter. I had no idea what she was up to. Willow looked just as shocked. Ever since she heard Anna was the principal's daughter, she'd looked extremely uncomfortable. The principal said, "I called you this afternoon and asked you to come. You said you had something important to do and couldn't make it. Now you show up, and you're this rude. You call that ladylike?" The bored-looking chairman suddenly interjected, "Her important matter is probably right here." He then shot me a meaningful glance before quickly looking away. I was baffled. The principal asked, "Dad, what do you mean by that? Do you know something? This girl skipped all my classes." "Dad, wait, so the chairman is the principal's father-in-law, making Anna the chairman's granddaughter?" I was losing my mind. Chapter 14. The chairman spread his hands and said, "How would I know? She's your daughter. Shouldn't you be reflecting on this yourself?" He had the look of someone unwilling to handle this hot potato. The entire table fell silent. I was even more on edge, feeling like I was sitting on pins and needles. Anna rolled her eyes and said, "If you two want to do a comedy show, fine, but can we at least eat first?" Only then did everyone drop the subject. As the conversation shifted to the project, I couldn't absorb a single word. Sitting next to a live grenade, I was too nervous to focus on anything. Willow remained quiet as well, her brows slightly furrowed, occasionally glancing in my direction. Anna suddenly smiled and asked, "Miss Lu, is there something on my plate you'd like? You keep staring over here." I was speechless. Willow's face turned bright red, and she quickly withdrew her gaze. No, not at all. I truly believed Anna had gone mad, not knowing what else this little troublemaker might do. I tried to put some distance between us, but under the table, she suddenly grabbed my hand and placed it directly on her thigh. I was at a loss, fearing someone would notice. I tried to pull away, but she immediately dropped her chopsticks in front of me with a loud clatter. The entire table looked over, startled by her sudden action, clueless about what had just happened. Anna, however, took a deep breath and said, "I want shrimp. I can't reach them. Help me get some." I had no choice but to pick up a shrimp and place it in her bowl. She then pushed the bowl back toward me and said, "Peel it for me." Bracing myself, I started peeling the shrimp for her. Everyone looked utterly confused, except for the chairman, who continued eating his shrimp, seemingly amused by the whole situation. Makoto, who had been frozen for a moment, suddenly chuckled and said to me, "George, why don't you go get me some soda, and bring the chairman some warm water? He doesn't drink alcohol." Oddly enough, I felt relieved by this request. I couldn't stand being here any longer, but before I could move, the chairman chuckled and said, "No need. Soda is fine." I wouldn't dare ask for hot water separately. I tried to stand up, but Anna refused to let go of my hand. I pulled my left hand free with my right, but she immediately grabbed my right hand. When I pried my right hand loose with my left, she seized my left hand again. She was like some sort of adhesive. As we wrestled back and forth, she suddenly burst into laughter. Once again, the entire table was interrupted by her laughter. The principal was clearly displeased. He frowned and asked, "What's so funny?" Anna rolled her eyes. "Just playing with my boyfriend." The principal asked, "You mean texting?" Anna replied, "MHM." She didn't deny it. Makoto asked, "Little sis, when did you start dating? How come I didn't know?" Anna shot back, "Who are you? Why should I report to you?" Makoto looked a little embarrassed. I'm your brother, Anna sneered. Oh, really? I seem to remember my mom only having one child. The principal snapped. Mind your manners. He's your brother, Anna scoffed. An adopted son. He dares call himself my brother. She paused for a moment before adding, people who know will say he's your adopted son. Those who don't might think he's your illegitimate child. Illegitimate child? That was enough to shut everyone up, because while everyone knew that Makoto was the principal's son, no one had known Anna was his daughter. The principal, now furious, slammed the table and shouted, You've gone too far. Come with me. His face was dark with anger as he ordered Anna to follow him outside. Anna looked at me for a moment but eventually got up and left. Before walking away, she shot another glance at Makoto and said, If you want soda, go get it yourself. What? Don't have hands? Don't have legs? Makoto's face instantly darkened, and he didn't say another word. Chapter 15. After the principal and Anna left, the atmosphere at the table quickly returned to normal. What I thought was a massive storm seemed to be nothing but a trivial matter to these seasoned businesspeople. The rest of the meal was noticeably quieter. After the banquet ended, I waited outside for Anna. She was still upstairs being lectured and hadn't come out yet. Then someone spoke. Anna's boyfriend. That's you, isn't it? At some point, Willow had appeared beside me. I didn't respond. She continued. That actor at the wedding, the cat that showed up in your room this morning, and the person who sent me the voice message that night, it was all her, wasn't it? I chuckled. So what if it was? She let out a sarcastic snort. Are you serious? I thought you'd become mature and steady after starting work, but you're even more childish than before. Just to get back at me, you're tangled up with my student. Do you even care how people will see you? I shrugged and replied, Why should I care about what they think? Why does it matter to me? She scoffed again. Her father is the principal, and her grandfather is the chairman, and you, for the sake of revenge, secretly married her while hiding it from everyone. At school, her father won't tolerate you. At the company, her grandfather definitely won't tolerate an employee like you. If they find out, you'll be ruined. I took a deep breath. What she said, I had already thought about it when I first learned the truth, but hearing it come from her mouth made it even more infuriating. I said, So what exactly are you trying to say, Miss Liu? Do you feel superior by belittling your ex-boyfriend? She looked at me and said, You're really stubborn. You still think I'm saying this to harm you? She's only 20 years old, and you're already 30. In a few years, you'll be past your prime. But she'll still be young and beautiful. Do you really think you can keep her? When she runs off with someone else, you'll regret it. I chuckled. Miss Liu, you sure sound concerned. But before criticizing others, maybe take a look in the mirror. Will she leave? I don't know. But I do know someone who already ran off with someone else. And she's nowhere near as good as Anna, not even close. Besides, even if things don't work out between us in the end, I won't regret it. So you don't have to worry about that. She said, You will regret it. I replied, That's none of your business. I turned to leave, unwilling to continue this pointless conversation. But then she said, How is it not my business? She gave up an opportunity to study abroad. There was only one slot for the entire school, and no one was more qualified than her. But she refused to go. Do you know why? You don't actually believe that being with you is somehow helping her grow, do you? Are you sure it's not just your own stubbornness, dragging someone else down with you because your life is miserable? She continued. She's an excellent student. She's the principal's daughter. She's Makoto's sister. And you, just because you wanted revenge on me, you're ruining such a young girl's future. Does your conscience not hurt? I sighed. Do you even hear yourself? Anna is better than you, smarter than you, younger than you, prettier than you. And you still think this is about you. You are so full of yourself. It's ridiculous. But, forget it. I didn't want to waste any more words on her. My head was starting to ache. I waited for a while in my car, but Anna still hadn't come downstairs, so I drove off. When I got home, I locked myself in my room, replaying everything that had happened. I realized that what I once thought was progress, moving towards something better, was slowly spiraling out of control. I didn't know why things had turned out like this. Brother, why didn't you wait for me? When Anna finally got home, she rubbed her face against my arm. I said, I was tired. She asked, What's wrong? I stayed silent. She looked hurt. Are you upset that I came to find you today? She sounded anxious. She said, I was just. Grandpa wouldn't let you leave, and seeing you serve them tea and drinks made me so angry. I couldn't hold it in. So I went, but then you kept ignoring me, and I got even angrier. And that Willow, she kept looking at you. I asked, Why did you lie to me? She blinked. Lie about what? I said, Your dad is the principal. Your grandfather is the chairman. So why did you pretend to be poor in front of me? I rubbed my temples and continued. I worried about you every day, kept finding ways to buy you food, even brought you home because I was afraid you weren't eating well enough. And the whole time, you were just playing me. Chapter 16. She lowered her gaze and said, I never said I was poor, and you never asked about my family. Besides, their money is theirs. What does it have to do with me? I never asked. Of course, I never asked, because I didn't want to hurt her feelings. She continued. I admit that I played the victim, but I never intended to deceive you. It's just that if I didn't act pitiful, you wouldn't even look at me. I frowned. You still say you didn't lie to me. You told me you weren't eligible for graduate school recommendations, but in reality, the only study abroad slot belonged to you. Why did you give it up? She pouted and said, I just didn't want to go. I asked, why? She replied, don't you already know why? I snapped. You gave up an opportunity to study abroad just to date me. How childish can you be? I didn't mind her being clingy in daily life, but to sacrifice something so important just for me, that was way too reckless. She retorted, so what if I'm childish? I just don't want to leave you. I just want to be with you forever. What's wrong with that? It's not a crime, is it? But you, why are you so determined to push me away? You want me to leave, so you and Willow can rekindle your romance. I was speechless. How did she even manage to drag Willow into this? Why couldn't she understand that if she made this choice, her family would see me as the villain? They'd think I was some shameless fraud who tricked a young girl into an ill-fated relationship. No one would support us. The road ahead would be filled with nothing but obstacles. More importantly, if she sacrificed her future for me, I wouldn't be able to forgive myself. Then she said, what about you? You never lied to me. You told me you were working late at the company, but where were you? At a banquet, cozying up to your ex. You like her that much? I let out a deep sigh. I said, how was I cozying up to her? Anna, can you stop making things up? There's nothing between me and her anymore. She sneered. Oh, no feelings. Then whose name is written all over the diary in your drawer? All those pages, who were you writing about? Boom. My brain went completely blank. It took me several seconds before I could even process what she had just said. You read my diary? I asked. She crossed her arms. Yeah. So what? I even checked your phone. You left it lying there so conveniently, just to make it easier to revisit your precious memories of her every day, right? She was losing control of her emotions. I took a deep breath, trying to reason with her. Anna, that's not okay. That was my personal diary. You had no right to go through it without my permission. And besides, that's in the past. She scoffed. Oh yeah, if it's really in the past, then tell me, why do you always get lost in thought whenever the bus passes your old high school? What are you looking for at the school gate? Who are you hoping to see? I was completely stunned. How do you even know that? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Anna, you followed me. She replied, yeah, so what? I had to see for myself, see which woman you're always thinking about while ignoring me. I was genuinely shaken. I always knew Anna was obsessive, like a real-life Yandere, but this was on a whole other level. This was not normal. If this kept going, I had to wonder, would she end up calling me dozens of times a day just to check in? Would she completely lose control? I said, Anna, let's take a moment and calm down. I needed time to think. She asked, how do we calm down? Her emotions were spiraling. I rubbed my temples. Look, I don't know what's going through your head, but you read my diary. You checked my phone. You even followed me. Your paranoia is out of control. I was already imagining the worst. What if one day, she did start blowing up my phone all day just to monitor me? She spat. Yeah, so what if I'm paranoid? Do you regret it now? Her hands clenched into fists, and she suddenly began tugging at her own hair. I grabbed her wrists, sighing helplessly. That's enough. Just stop. Go to sleep. We'll talk tomorrow. She refused. No, I want to talk now. I raised my voice. Well, I don't want to talk to you tonight. I was at my limit. I had no idea what to do anymore. She stood there, unmoving. After a long silence, she suddenly switched tactics, playing the victim again. What about my goodnight kiss? She asked quietly. I sighed. Anna, not tonight. In the past, no matter how late it was or how exhausted I felt, I had always kept my promise. I always gave her a goodnight kiss. But tonight, I just couldn't. She asked, what do you mean by that? Are you breaking up with me? Her voice was trembling. I hesitated before saying, maybe, we should take a few days apart to think things through. She bit her lip. A few days? No need. If you want to break up, I'll grant your wish right now. You think I just let you treat me like this because I have to be with you? Well, guess what? I don't. She fired off those words angrily, then stormed out, slamming the door behind her. I stood there, frozen, stunned for a few seconds before bolting after her. By the time I reached the living room, she was already gone. I chased her outside, down to the street, but there was no sign of her. It had started to rain heavily. I had no umbrella. I took a few steps forward, then hesitated. I turned back. Once inside, I immediately called her. Her phone was off. I sent her a message. Red exclamation mark. That night, I didn't sleep, not even for a second. Chapter 17. The next day, I couldn't reach her. The third day, still nothing. By the fifth day, I couldn't hold back anymore. Out of worry, I went to the school to find her. Willow said. She didn't come back to the dorm last night. Not for the past few days either. She showed me the dorm attendance records. Then she sneered. See, you thought you had a few years before she ran off. But turns out, she's already gone. You're out here looking for her, but she's blocked you on everything. This is how little girls are. They'll do anything when they get upset. Did you really think she'd stay loyal to you forever? She's probably already with some other guy by now, I replied. She's not that kind of person. I was certain, but life has a way of proving you wrong, fast. Willow and I stood on the second floor, looking down, and there she was, Anna, walking shoulder to shoulder with some guy toward the teaching building. What's worse? She was dressed like she just walked out of a nightclub. Heavy makeup, a tight black bodycon skirt, a matching spaghetti strap top, and in her hand, a cigarette. Willow smirked. See her true colors now. You really thought she was some innocent, well-behaved girl. God knows how messy she's been behind your back. I stood there, staring blankly. All I could muster was a dry, smoking is bad for her health. I'll talk to her about it. I suddenly had no idea what else to say. Willow scoffed. Didn't you hate girls who smoke, drink, party, and club? What happened to your principles? I used to go out with my girlfriends all the time, but I stopped for you. Do you even have a conscience? I sighed. At this point, does it even matter? She shot back. I never wanted to leave you, I said. That's your problem. I turned to leave, but suddenly, she grabbed my arm. I frowned. What are you doing? She looked at me, eyes filled with something I couldn't quite place. You don't miss me at all. I ignored her, and then, I looked back toward Anna, just in time to see her stand on tiptoe, and kiss him. For a moment, my mind went completely blank. I didn't know how I left the school. The next thing I knew, I was sitting in my car, hands shaking. I looked out at the school gate, where couples walked in and out, holding hands, laughing, lost in their own little worlds. I suddenly felt incredibly stupid. I thought I had found true love, but it had only been a few months. And I had already been proven dead wrong. I thought she clung to me because she needed me, because she couldn't live without me. But no, she could cling to me, and she could just as easily cling to someone else. I drove home. Like always, I made dinner, didn't feel like eating, watched some TV, zoned out, didn't feel like responding to messages. Then it hit me. I had just been dumped. Sitting on the edge of my bed, I saw the diary that had started our argument days ago. I had always kept a journal, a habit born from my middle school wannabe novelist phase, but by high school, every page had turned into a record of my silent crush on Willow. She had been so perfect back then. Smart, beautiful, the girl everyone liked. It was normal for me to like her, but I was just a nobody, hiding in the shadows, never daring to approach her. How quiet was my crush? After graduating, I had added her on WeChat, and for 4 years, I silently checked her updates, but I was too scared she'd notice, so I would delete my browsing history over and over again. I never had the courage to start a conversation, not until grad school entrance exams, when I finally found an excuse to message her under the guise of discussing study materials. But when we met, she didn't even remember my name. Even after we started dating, I never told her about my high school crush. I just went through the motions of a normal relationship, and honestly, I was happy. I had won the girl I dreamed of. It was like completing a childhood fantasy. But eventually, we ran out of things to talk about. Every conversation felt forced, controlled by distance. I wanted to fix it, but I didn't know how. And when she started flirting with other guys, when she fell for someone else, I actually felt relieved. Like I had finally been freed. Like I could finally let go of that foolish dream. My first relationship had been a failure. My dream had shattered. Then came Anna, and Anna was different. She was fiery, passionate. She was all in from the start. She wanted me every second of the day. She couldn't stand being apart from me, and I thought, this must be love, but I didn't realize. A young girl's love burns fast, and dies just as quickly. The novelty wears off, the fights begin, and then, another breakup. I failed, again. Chapter 18. The principal came to see me. He told me that Anna had been missing from classes for 2 weeks. She hadn't shown up at her part-time job at the cafeteria either, completely off the grid. He said, I don't know what your intentions were when you got close to Anna, but as her father, I strongly advise you two to stay apart. I frowned. What intentions? I was genuinely shocked. Why would he even say something like that? He continued. I've heard things. You were supposed to marry Willow, but because of my son, It didn't work out. Of course, my son, Makoto, was in the wrong, but that doesn't justify you taking out your anger on my daughter. Do I need to go on? I stared at him. Who told you that? My tone was anything but friendly. Dating, breaking up, getting back together. To most people, it's normal, but in their world, everything had to be some kind of conspiracy, he said. That's not important. What is important is this. Yes, Anna had an illness in the past, but after years of treatment, she made a full recovery. She was always a well-behaved, hard-working student, but look at her now. Smoking, drinking, clubbing, spiraling out of control. She's falling apart, and all those years of effort to heal her are being undone. As her father, I absolutely will not allow you two to continue seeing each other. I let out a short laugh. Principal, no, Mr. Ito, do you really think she learned to drink and party from me? Just like him, I used to think she was a good girl, but recently, she had shattered that illusion. The question was, did I corrupt her? Or had she always been like this, just playing a role? The principal said, of course it was you. She used to have a disciplined life. She never touched any of that. She was polite, followed the rules. If she had dared to act like this before, I would have made her kneel in front of her mother's memorial. I was stunned, punishing her by making her kneel before her late mother's shrine. Using her guilt against her. Did he not realize that her mother's death had always been her deepest wound? I scoffed. Mr. Ito, with parenting like that, I finally understand why she's spiraling. His expression darkened. What do you mean by that? I said. You might be the principal of a school, but judging by the way you raised her, you shouldn't be anyone's father. I stood up to leave. Don't worry, I added. Your daughter won't be coming to see me anymore. The company was recruiting employees for long-term assignments in another province. I applied. If I took this job, I could climb the corporate ladder faster when I returned. And honestly, I needed to get away, to clear my head and figure out my life. At first, I wanted to call Anna to tell her I was leaving, but when I dialed her number, an automated voice message played. Then I remembered. She had already blocked me, so I wrote her a letter instead. I had a million things I wanted to say, but when I picked up the pen, memories flooded my mind. I sat there, staring at the blank page for half an hour. In the end, I only wrote one line. Eat on time. Take care of yourself. Stop drinking, smoking, and clubbing so much. George. I left the note on the table in my living room. She still had a key. If she ever came back, she'd see it. If she ever came back at all. I let out a deep sigh. 2 months passed. I was still working in another province when Willow showed up on a business trip. We ran into each other again. She said, she's going abroad next month, studying overseas. Good. I felt a sense of relief. Looked like her father had finally put her back on track. She asked, so now, unless we're talking about her, you won't even speak to me? I said, Willow, you don't have to do this. Back when we were dating, every time we talked, the only thing she ever wanted to discuss was her senior. Now the roles were reversed. I had moved on, and she was the one chasing the past. I said, how's Makoto? Trying to change the subject. She frowned. There's nothing between me and him. I admit, back then, he was always there for me. No matter what happened, he would help me. He checked on me every day, made me feel cared for. I got used to that feeling, being looked after, and I liked that feeling, but I never had other intentions. I raised an eyebrow. No intentions. Huh. But you were fine flirting with him. She looked at me, trying to play innocent. Habits are dangerous, she said. I regret it now. I don't know why I became like that. I mean, I liked you, but somehow, I kept thinking about him. Do you believe in astrology? Maybe it's just a Gemini thing. I almost choked on my coffee. She was seriously blaming star signs for cheating. She asked, do you think we still have a chance? I stood up immediately. Yeah, no, absolutely not. Then I got the hell out of there. Chapter 19. On the subway, I had the strange feeling that someone was watching me. I looked up, just a crowded train full of strangers. When I got off, I realized something. My Bluetooth earbud was missing. Damn, it must have fallen onto the subway floor. There was no way I'd find it now. Frustrated, I moved on, transferring to the bus. The bus was even more packed than usual. It was one of those days, nothing was going my way. I was squished between people, nearly suffocating. Then, as the driver slammed on the brakes, the whole bus lurched forward. For a second, the air shifted, and I caught a scent, one that felt oddly familiar. I turned around, but by then, people were already pushing and shoving to get off. There was no one there. I got off at my stop and walked home, still feeling uneasy. Halfway there, my phone rang. I reached into my pocket and froze. My Bluetooth earbud was there, but I had checked everywhere before. I was sure it was gone. On instinct, I turned around. Nothing. No one was behind me. Still unsettled, I answered my phone, but I didn't hear a single word of the conversation. After hanging up, I arrived at my apartment building. I walked toward the stairs, pulled out my phone to use the flashlight, but then I noticed something strange. The normally pitch-black stairwell was lined with small night lights. They led all the way up, stopping right at the 5th floor, my floor. Something wasn't right. I pulled out my key and inserted it into the lock. Then, I hesitated. After a few seconds, I turned around and called out, "Anna." No response. I said, "Come out, I know it's you." Then, from the darkness above, a shadow slowly emerged. She was wearing a baseball cap, her face hidden in the shadows. I could only see her outline. As she stepped closer, I finally saw her expression, caught red-handed. "Nowhere to run," she sighed. "Brother." Still calling me that. Her voice was shaky. I let out a deep sigh. "Come inside." She obediently stepped in, changed into slippers, and stood there, not daring to move forward without my permission. She said, "I wasn't following you. I just happened to run into you." I stared at her. "You happened to run into me on the subway, then happened to run into me on the bus, then happened to be waiting outside my apartment." She pouted. "It was just one time." I raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure?" She glanced at me, then gave in. "Okay, twice." I folded my arms. "Think carefully before you answer." She deflated. "Fine, 5 times, but I can explain." I rubbed my temples. 5 times. I've only been here 2 months, and you've already followed me 5 times. She sighed, clearly troubled. "I'm sorry. I was going crazy without seeing you. The first few times, I just waited outside your apartment, watching from a distance. I really wasn't following you. But today was different." She came. "I saw you with her. You two were talking, laughing, and I lost control." She clenched her fists. "Seeing you with her hurt." I sighed. "We broke up. Anna. Who I talk to, who I have dinner with, it's none of your business. You know that, right?" She hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, we broke up." Then, after a pause, she murmured, "We broke up." She stared at me, and suddenly, tears rolled down her face. "Can we not break up?" she pleaded. "I'll do what you say. I'll go study abroad. I won't party. I won't drink. I won't get jealous. You can meet up with her. You can write about her in your diary. You can keep her in your heart. You can even use me as a tool to get back at her. I don't care, as long as we don't break up." I was stunned. This wasn't normal, right? I asked. "So if I actually got back together with her, you'd be okay with being the other woman?" She bit her lip. "If that's what you really want, then yeah, I could do it." I pinched the bridge of my nose. "Anna, do you even hear yourself right now?" She looked at me desperately. "I admit it. I lost. No matter how many women you have outside. I can't let you go. Brother, what do you want from me?" "I had a headache." I sighed. "Didn't you already get a new boyfriend? I saw you kissing him, so why are you still saying you can't live without me?" She huffed. "That was acting. I saw you and Willow walking together, holding hands, smiling. I lost my mind, so I staged that kiss." She continued. "You know me. That night, you knew. I'm not that kind of girl. I've never liked anyone else. I'd never kiss someone else. Of course, I knew." I sighed. "Fine. I wouldn't tease her anymore." I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "I'm not getting back together with Willow, and I already have someone in my heart. There's only room for that person. It's not her." She puffed up her cheeks, furious. "Who else is there? Who the hell is she?" She was about to lose it. I nearly burst out laughing. I said, "Her name is Anna." She just stood there, stunned. I said, "Even if you don't come looking for me, I'm planning to go back and find you. After 2 months away, I've thought things through clearly and understand what I want. So, there's no need to be sad or so self-abasing. It's not your fault, it's mine. I used to lack confidence in myself, but now I believe in who I am. You have no idea, in the subway, when I felt someone by my side, I kept hoping it was you. Just the thought that you might come looking for me made me so excited. The words I say might be deceiving, but the heart that beats for you never lies. I want you to know, I like you, just as much as you like me." She just froze there, and then suddenly burst into laughter. Her laughter soon turned into tears. "Why are you crying again?" I asked as I wiped away her tears. She said, "Brother, you're so annoying, making me cry in my dreams. And even when we meet, you make me cry. But I'm so happy, being liked by you makes me really happy." She leaned her head over and said, "Brother, let's not fight anymore. It hurts here," she said, pointing to her chest. I replied, "All right." She looked up and began to kiss me. After so long without kissing, we were both a bit rusty, and soon neither of us could control ourselves. Then she suddenly asked, "Brother, can I stay here?" I said, "Sure, but there's only a small bed here." She replied, "I'm very thin and won't take up much space. If there's no room to sleep, you can even cuddle me." I sighed in exasperation. "That really isn't necessary." She asked, Does your place have any toiletries? None, I admitted, completely unprepared for her coming. Then I'll go downstairs and buy some. At the door, she hesitated and asked, Brother, you won't shut me out again later, will you? I was speechless. What is she thinking all day? Then she asked, Brother, do you want to come with me? I answered, sure. She was so dependent, having just reconciled. She naturally wanted to be clinging to me every moment, which I could understand. She linked her arm with mine as we headed to the convenience store to pick up some toothpaste, a toothbrush, a towel, and other things. On the way back, walking together, my heart was pounding. As soon as we got home and I closed the door, she lifted her tiptoes and kissed me again. She asked, Brother, you've saved up a lot, right? I replied, not anymore. She glared at me in mock indignation. I laughed and said, just teasing you. She snorted, Brother, don't tease me like that. If you keep it up, you'll ruin yourself. Ruined or not, at least I can rest for a while, I thought with a smile. Chapter 20. We finally got back together completely. On the day she was leaving to study abroad, I went to the airport to see her off. She clung to me, unwilling to let go. She asked, do you really want me to go? Won't you go crazy missing me? I replied, not at all, I'll call you whenever I miss you. She said, but when I get your call, I still can't see, touch, or hold you. I was at a loss for words. Behind us, the chairman wore an expression like an old man checking his phone on the subway. He remarked, you're always so attached to your brother, don't you feel any shame? She retorted, what do you know at my age? You're not even dating anyone. I'm just clinging to my boyfriend, not to someone else. That man really had no filter. He said whatever came to mind. The chairman continued, all right, everyone in the world now knows you have a boyfriend. You're something else. If you don't let go soon, these cameras around us will run out of film. I could only shake my head in disbelief. I had come to see her off and ended up with the chairman there too. Wherever the chairman goes, reporters follow. Perhaps they never expected to dig up such scandalous material. I felt utterly embarrassed. After finally sending her on her way, the chairman insisted I come along. On the ride, he showed me some text messages on his phone. Anna had written, old man, if you give him too much work, don't expect me to call you Grandpa in the future. I was speechless. I felt completely mortified. I asked him, don't you object? He asked, object to what? I replied, everyone thinks you don't approve of Anna and me being together. I thought. He cut me off. Did you think I was here to urge you to break up? I was momentarily at a loss for words. The chairman had this gentle yet inscrutable air about him. He smiled and said, yes, from the perspective of our generation, you two really aren't that suitable. 10 years apart, you're already working while she's still in school, and your family backgrounds are worlds apart. Her father has even told me several times to step in. Hearing that, my heart clenched. I wondered how I could possibly convince him otherwise. He paused, then continued, but as her grandfather, who's watched her grow up from a child, I can't bear to break you apart. You have no idea how happy she was the day after your wedding. When she got home, she was so overjoyed that she didn't even know who to share it with. Her mother had been gone for a long time, and she never got along with her father. She said she didn't have anyone to share her joy with, and she was afraid I, an old man, wouldn't understand her. How could I not understand? That day, she laughed so wholeheartedly, not to pretend to be good, not to please anyone, but a genuine, heartfelt laugh. I was stunned. I asked. She was really happy. We'd only just met for the second time. He replied. Of course she was happy. She'd liked you for years. She said she never imagined being with you. But that day, it was as if a pie had fallen from the sky. Years, I murmured. Later, I learned that on the day Anna was discharged from the mental hospital, she had met me on a flight. I recalled that on the plane, I'd noticed a girl who looked unwell. Her nose was running and her body trembling. I assumed she was just sick. I handed her some tissues, shared my snacks, and even offered her my blanket. When the plane hit turbulence, she clutched my hand. I hadn't known it was her, nor did I realize that she had almost cried herself out of breath upon hearing about her mother's death. I said, I had no idea she was crying back then. The chairman warned, don't you dare say that was me who told you. She would later frequently update me about your movements. I told her that sneaking around to see you wasn't right. She promised that she'd only catch a glimpse from afar, never to disturb you. But one day, she came home in tears, saying she'd been dumped because you were in a relationship. Then she even got accepted into the school of your girlfriend. She said she wanted to keep an eye on her, as if it were some kind of punishment. Every time she came back, she was miserable. She even told me that you had married her teacher, only to find out that her teacher was always with her senior. She was worried about you, but couldn't bring herself to tell you. She feared you might think she was too immature, so she started working at our company's cafeteria to seem more mature. She was afraid that one day you'd see her and no longer like her. This poor, foolish girl, I didn't know how to describe the mix of emotions I felt after hearing all this. I had never imagined that she had liked me so deeply and for so long. Even during the time when I was just a dispensable amusement to others, I had been loved sincerely and passionately by someone. Chapter 21. The chairman said, "Don't worry, I won't interfere in your relationship. I was young once too. Love always has its ups and downs. If you two stay together, I'll even prepare a wedding for you. And if not, it won't affect your work at the company." He continued, "I've heard from your team leader that you're a hardworking, ambitious young man, and from my perspective, you are. Even if you don't end up as my grandson-in-law, staying in the company as one of our outstanding employees is more than enough." I was deeply moved. "Thank you, Chairman," I said. He added with a gentle smile, "You're both good kids. In fact, off the record, you can call me Grandpa if you want. I'd love to have a grandson." I blinked in surprise. His train of thought was so unpredictable I could hardly keep up. "All right, Chairman," I replied. Anna and I ended up seeing each other roughly once a month. Either she would come back, or I'd go to see her. When friends asked, "Why do you insist on meeting? The airfare is so expensive, it's such a waste," I answered. "Even if we don't do anything special, just sharing a meal or chatting keeps our bond alive, and that gives us the courage to keep going." Every time we parted, Anna would get upset and throw a tantrum. She'd say, "Brother, can we really keep this up for 2 years? Will we ever get married? Will you wait for me? I hate how old I am. I wish we could just fast forward 2 years. I can't stand it." I reassured her, "My love for you will never change, no matter how much she fussed." Once I repeated that, her mood would instantly brighten. Her insecurity came from me, so it was my responsibility to remind her again and again. But soon, she demanded not only to hear it but to see it, too. She would say, "Brother, say it again. Just say it once more." I rubbed my temples and said, "Anna, it's too late now. I've got work tomorrow." She replied, "Brother, you know, saying these words isn't enough." I sighed and said, "I love you." She answered, "I love you too, brother." She snuggled into my arms, completely content. Afterward, she insisted, "Say it again, please. Say it again, brother. Come on." I replied, "All right, now get some sleep." I was really starting to lose it. She pouted, "Brother, you act like you don't care the moment you pull your pants up. Once it's over, you don't even spare me another word." I was speechless. On the day she turned 22, we registered our marriage. She exclaimed, "Now, brother, you're officially mine." The chairman remarked dryly, "Yes, yes, she's yours." My ears are practically calloused from hearing it all. Her grandfather stood below snapping photos for us, saying, "What did this 70-something old man do to deserve watching you two show off your love every day?" Anna paid no attention to anyone else. She said, "Brother, why don't we find a place to celebrate tonight?" I replied, "Sure." We went to the supermarket, and she proudly claimed she had learned some excellent recipes abroad and wanted to cook for me. At checkout, she picked up 10 boxes of safety supplies, of all kinds. I asked, "Hey, why are you buying so much?" She said, "Aren't we celebrating?" I was dumbfounded. Even the cashier was staring at me. Later, I heard that when Willow found out we had registered our marriage, she got so drunk she suffered severe alcohol poisoning and was rushed to the ER. She nearly died. Makoto stayed by her side all day, but as soon as she opened her eyes and saw him, she went berserk and blocked all his contacts. Willow complained, "Can you just stop bothering me?" Makoto said, "Little sister, I'm worried about you." Willow snapped back, "I don't need your worry, I never deserve it. Just get lost. I don't ever want to see you again." Hearing about all this from others, my own heart had long grown numb. Over these 2 years at the company, I was promoted twice and became busier than ever. Meanwhile, Anna still went off to see her grandpa to make a scene. She declared, "Grandpa, are you trying to exhaust him to death? If you do, I'll come at you with everything I've got." The chairman sighed, "I'm telling you, at 22, how have you not grown up? You keep winning awards abroad while you refuse to let George succeed at the company." The chairman had spoken with me about the matter and asked that I go back and comfort her. That night, I returned home and spent a long time soothing her until she calmed down. She said, "Work is fine, but if you're away on business trips for too long, I can't handle it." "Anna," I exclaimed, "you're being unreasonable." She pouted pitifully, "I'm your wife now. Don't I have the right to have you by my side? Isn't our marriage supposed to protect my rights?" "Oh, so even the rights issue is on the table." I couldn't be bothered to argue further. I decided to resort to my ultimate move. Chapter 22. The next day, the chairman gave me a thumbs up with stars practically dancing in his eyes and said, "You're still the one who could calm her down so quickly, otherwise, that little firecracker would have been making a scene with me all day." I replied, "Chairman, we're in a meeting." I was really at a loss for words. He whispered, "I know, so I'm speaking quietly." He He really did speak so softly that the colleagues nearby, not wanting to disturb our conversation, nearly muted their PowerPoint presentation. I took Anna home with me. Surprisingly, my parents took a liking to her immediately. After a brief moment of contemplation, my mother said, "Well, no mother here and not a good relationship with your father. Then we've gotten lucky, a free daughter, if you will. You have no idea. Your dad used to envy people who had both a son and a daughter, and now, a daughter just fell into our laps, right? Heh. But it felt like my luck had really run out. Ever since Anna came to our home, I've lost all my status. With a daughter around, the food prepared at home was far better than when I was alone." Anna obediently went off to help wash vegetables. My mom said, "Anna, you don't need to wash the veggies, go and call George over." My mom just couldn't bear having her do any work, and I ended up as free labor. After I finished washing up, I went into my room to look for her, and I found her sitting at my desk, staring absent-mindedly at an old notebook I'd used. I asked, "What's wrong?" As I walked over, she bit her lip and said, "Without your permission, I can't touch your things." I stood there, stunned. I knew exactly what she was referring to. I said, "You can look at these. They're just my old class notes and scribbles." Her eyes lit up with delight. "Really? I want to see what my brother was like back in his school days." I chuckled. "All right." Then she looked up at me with a pitiful expression and said, "The last time, I wasn't trying to snoop on your diary, I was looking for my charger, and it fell and opened up. It had her name on it, and I couldn't help but read that page. I was so sad afterward." She continued, "I thought that if I had met you earlier, if I weren't so young when I met you, you might have given me a second glance. But then I was afraid that meeting you too early would mean we'd drift apart. Now that I think about it, everything worked out just right. Whether it was a little earlier or later doesn't matter, because in the end, I'm the one marrying you. That makes everything complete." I was so insecure, jealous, and crazy that I did many things I'm not proud of. "Brother, do you think you might end up hating me because of it?" I smiled and said, "No, not at all. But Anna, security isn't something someone else can give you. You have to have confidence in yourself." I wasn't quite sure how else to comfort her. She was so outstanding, yet she became so self-conscious just because she loved me. She murmured, "Okay, I'll listen to you, brother." The next day, I attended my high school reunion, and so did Willow. Anna knew about it. She didn't say anything except send me a message, "I'm waiting for you at home." I thought she'd start her usual tantrum, calling me repeatedly to urge me to come home, but not a single call came throughout the evening. Everyone didn't leave until around 11 o'clock, and when I took a taxi home in the pouring rain, I saw someone at the elevator. When she saw me, she hurriedly wiped away her tears. Angrily, she asked, "Why was your phone off?" I was speechless. I checked my phone and realized I had accidentally switched on airplane mode. Embarrassed, I said, "Sorry, I accidentally enabled airplane mode." Then, out of nowhere, she threw herself into my arms and said, "It's good that you're back. Have you been waiting long?" She pouted, "Not really, just a minute or two." A minute or two. I couldn't help but notice a pile of tissues discarded on a nearby trash can. I rubbed her somewhat cold hand and asked, "If you were so worried, why not just come and find me?" Her whole body was freezing, under this heavy rain. Who knows how long she had been standing outside. With her head hanging low, she said, "I promised you I wouldn't follow you, so I waited here. No matter when you come back, I'll be here waiting until you do." I froze. I said, "Aren't you being a bit silly? You should wait at home instead." But she replied very earnestly, "Brother, waiting for you downstairs is my limit. I just want to see you as soon as possible. If I were to go home and wait, I just can't do it." I was speechless. As soon as we got into the house, my dad gave me a kick and scolded, "You little runt, when you're out, your phone isn't even reachable. Don't you know how worried Anna is? She's so anxious that she dares not come find you because she says you'd be upset." I quickly apologized. "I'll check my phone from now on." But Anna grabbed my arm and pulled me back, saying, "Dad, it's not George's problem, this is my own issue. Please don't hit him, just let him be." Then, my dad said to Anna, giving me a look that said I should figure it out on my own. That night, Anna held me close and cried again. I asked, "Why are you still crying so much?" She said, "I just don't know, I love you so much, and I love your parents too." She snuggled right into my arms. I tried to comfort her, and suddenly, with a shy smile, she bit my finger. She said, "Brother, try it." I asked, "Try what?" She replied, "Your parents treat me like their own daughter. Doesn't that make you really my brother? Isn't that exciting?" I was at a loss for words.